In this video, I'm going to show you how we built this storage module for our DIY camper van conversion. Let's get started. I think we should just keep this cabinet really simple. I mean, realistically, it only has to hold a couple of packing cubes since Peak Design is sponsoring this video.
Peak Design, like the camera bag company?
Yeah, well, sort of. They also have a bunch of ultralight packing cubes and phone cases and camera mounts, camera accessories, and a bunch of other really cool packing accessories.
But the cabinet will have space for camera cubes, right?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. That's fine.
And a USB charging hub?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea too, I guess.
And an outlet on the side?
But there's already one in this.
And lights underneath.
I mean, I guess that makes sense since the toilet.
Oh, and it
cabinet.
also needs to be that modern industrial look like the rest of the van.
Let's just get started. For this build, we made a cut list in SketchUp and labels to keep track of the pieces. We cut our larger pieces of 1/2-inch birch with a circular saw and then cut our smaller pieces with the table saw. Once our pieces were cut, Steph made all of the pocket holes that we needed with our Kreg jig. While Steph drilled, we glued the bottom to the large side panels. And then we clamped and secured everything with Kreg screws. Using the same method, we glued, clamped, and screwed the back supports and top rails. Next, it was time to make the drawer for the Peak Design storage module. To secure the drawer bottom, we glued and used finishing nails rather than screws to secure it all together. The glue bonds all the wood together, and the finish nails hold it in place so that the glue can dry. And then we used the same method for the toe kick base. We measured and then screwed that to the module base. And just like that, we are ready for edge banding and finishing. We cleaned up the edges using a router and a flush trim bit. For the visible edges, we added edge banding. This edge banding is just really thin, 1/2-inch wide wood veneer that has heat-activated adhesive on the back. We used an iron to melt the adhesive and then a small roller to press it down. We sanded off any rough edges and then repeated that process with our drawer faces and shelf. Next, we sanded all the pieces with 220 grit sandpaper and a random orbital sander, and then finished with paste wax by rubbing it on, letting it dry for a half hour or so, and then buffing it off. Next, it was time to add our drawer. We flipped over our module and used a spacer to position our top drawer slide, and secured the slides with screws. And then repeated the same process on the other side. Using a spacer rather than measuring makes it easier to get the slides perfectly straight and equal on each side. Next, it's time to secure the slide to the drawer itself. We placed a spacer between the top of the drawer and the top of the cabinet and screwed the slides to the drawer. With the top drawer in place, we flipped the module back over and it was time to attach the drawer face. We clamped the drawer face in place using 5 business cards on each side as a spacer, and then temporarily screwed our drawer to the face as well as a pilot hole for the latch. We used a hole saw on our drill press and made a hole on the drawer face for the latch, and then did the same on the drawer itself using a slightly larger hole saw. And then we attached the face to the drawer. We used some marine slam latches and secured them from the back with screws. And then put the drawer back in its place. Then we put some glue onto our latch catch and attached it to the drawer frame. This latch stopper is what the latch clips onto when the drawer is closed. Now that our drawers are complete, it's time to add our shelf pin holes. For this module, we're going to have one drawer and one shelf. We used our Kreg shelf pin jig to perfectly space out our shelf pin holes. The pin and clamp kept it in place as we drilled, making sure not to drill all the way through the side panel. Our pins will sit in this hole. Unfortunately, due to some inconsistencies in the wood, we punched through twice. but we're able to remove the knots, glue, clamp, sand, and our panels looked good as new-ish. Next, we drilled our hole for the 120 volt outlet on the side of the module. With this outlet, we'll have easy access to charge our laptops from the driver's seat without cords dangling across the van. Next, we're attaching a cable chain for our USB charging hub wires that will be coming from inside the drawer. We shortened the chain by removing some of the middle links and just replacing the end. Then we threaded our USB cable through the chain and attached it to the back rail and bottom of the drawer. Now we can open and close the drawer without a mess of cables dangling down. We drilled a hole through the bottom of the drawer and threaded the cable through. Next, we screwed on our USB block mount and attached our USB block. Now we can charge camera batteries inside of the drawer without making a mess. Next, we drilled a hole on the side of the module and added a grommet so that we could pass wires back and forth through the cabinets as needed. To keep all of our Peak Design pouches from flying out while driving the van, we are attaching some perforated metal angle to the front of the module that we spray painted black off camera. We attached those with screws, and then we placed our Peak Design cubes into the module to see how high we needed to place the shelf. And then we inserted the shelf and secured it to the pins with screws. And then we tied some heavy-duty bungee cords across and melted the ends with a hot knife. For our under cabinet lighting, we attached our track to the underside of the cabinet and secured it with countersunk screws. We opened the LED strip light L connectors with a knife, and then we inserted the strip under the pins of the L connector, paying special attention to the positive and negative. And then we opened the other side of the L connector with a knife and loosened the terminal screws on our solderless LED connectors and inserted the L connector and tightened the screws. And then we inserted our positive wire and our negative wire and tightened them down. Next, we exposed the adhesive on the back of the strip and attached it to the track. And added our diffuser. Then we drilled a hole in the base of the module and ran our wires through. These wires will eventually get connected to the switched Anderson ports behind our bathroom module. And then we clamped down our wires so nothing would dangle down. We needed to extend the length of our USB charging hub wire, so we added butt splice connectors and more positive and negative wire. Then to clean it up, we added some heat shrink and wire loom. The rest of the wiring would be done once the module is actually placed in the van. Next, it was time to attach the brackets that will secure the cabinet to the L-track on the wall and the floor of the van. We made these off camera, but they are simply 2" by 2" by 1/8" aluminum angle, cut to size, drilled for our L-track hardware, and spray painted black. We glued, clamped, and screwed these brackets to the module on the back support and on the toe kick base. Then we brought the module into the van. We had L-track hardware installed on the wall and the floor, and we just moved our cabinet into place so they would attach to those brackets. We added a washer and a bolt and tightened it down to the L-track. Now the module is safely secured to the L-track in 4 different places. For our countertops, we are using 1 1/4 inch thick butcher block. We cut it down to size with a circular saw, sanded it down with 220 grit sandpaper, and added 2 coats of Danish oil to the top to finish and buffed it off once dry. Then we attached our butcher block countertop to the cabinet using 1 1/4 inch long screws. We are super happy with how this turned out and how flush it sits with our bathroom countertop. Now that the cabinet is installed, here's how we wired it. We have our 120 volt outlet on the side of the cabinet going into the van wall outlet right here. This is the Anderson connector that is switched from above the sliding door, and it's connected to both of the lower LED light strips on both of these cabinets. And this one going to the lower Anderson connector is constant, going out to our toilet fan as well as our USB hub wires that we extended earlier. And with that, our Peak Design camera storage module is all wrapped up. The ability to have the camera cube in the upper drawer is a much better solution than the egg crate foam that we had in our old Sprinter. The USB charging hub makes it easy to constantly have camera batteries charged and at the ready without having chargers laying around on all the countertops. The open shelves underneath decrease weight over drawers and doors and make it fast and easy to access our Peak Design packing cubes and pouches. The outlet on the side is great for being able to plug laptops in to our house electrical system while we're working in the front seats. And lastly, the LED light strip underneath gives a nice indirect glow to the inside of the van. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.